Eli's land sat far from towns and tribes alike, a weather-beaten ranch pressed against the edge of nowhere, where the horizon stretched like an unanswered question. Life there was harsh but honest. Nita learned to ride before she learned to rest, her strength carved by grief and survival, while a pony tended the land with quiet determination, coaxing life from soil that resisted kindness. Eli never treated them as burdens, never as trophies. He worked beside them, bled beside them, and slowly the walls between them cracked. But the Wild West never allowed peace to last. Rumors spread of Apache women living under a cowboy's roof, of a man who crossed lines best left untouched. Ranchers whispered, outlaws listened, and the tribe, ashamed and angered by defiance of tradition, sent warriors to bring the women back not alive, but as a warning. The night the attack came, it came with fire. Shots rang out, horses screamed, and the ranch became a battlefield under a moon that watched without judgment. Eli fought like a man with nothing left to lose, but it was Nita who stood her ground, rifle steady, eyes burning with the fury of a woman who had already been cast into the grave once and refused to return. A pony dragged Eli to safety when he fell wounded, her hands slick with blood but unshaking. When dawn broke, the attackers were gone, leaving silence and smoke behind. The women did not run. They did not beg. They stood in the open, daring the world to try again. Word of that stand traveled farther than bullets ever could. The tribe's elders would later learn that exile had not broken the widows, it had forged them. Eli survived, scarred but alive, and in the quiet that followed, a new truth settled over the land. Family was not only blood or law, it was choice. It was standing together when every rule said you shouldn't, as the three of them watched the sun rise over a land that had tried to kill them all. One thing was certain, the Wild West was built by those who refused to disappear. Land did not forgive easily, and neither did the people who believed they owned it. Days after the widows followed Eli Mercer to his isolated ranch, whispers began to crawl through the frontier like rattlesnakes through dry grass. A cowboy sheltering Apache women was more than gossip, it was an insult, a challenge, a threat to an order built on fear and blood. Eli felt it before he saw it, the way the wind changed, the way his horse spooked at shadows, the way silence grew heavier each night. Nita felt it too, sharpening her senses the way grief once had. A pony prayed quietly, not to the old spirits that had abandoned her, but to the land itself, asking only for another sunrise. Life at the ranch was brutal but honest. There were fences to mend, cattle to track, and a stubborn well that refused to give water without a fight. Eli never gave orders, he worked, and the women followed, learning through sweat and scraped hands. Nita discovered a fierce comfort in labor, each task a reminder that she was still alive. A pony learned to read the sky, the soil, the birds, finding purpose in nurturing something that did not judge her past. Slowly, painfully, trust took root. At night they shared food by firelight, stories traded carefully, wounds shown only when the darkness felt safe enough. Eli spoke of his wife, buried years ago after a fever took her, and how the ranch had been silent ever since. The women listened, understanding loss in a way no words needed. But peace in the Wild West was always borrowed time. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Nita spotted riders far off, too organized to be drifters, too deliberate to be lost. Eli's jaw tightened. He knew what was coming. The tribe had sent men, not to reclaim the women, but to erase the shame of their survival. And other eyes watched two outlaws who saw opportunity, ranchers who saw contamination, men who believed violence was the only language worth speaking. Eli loaded his rifle without ceremony. Nita asked for a weapon. He hesitated only a moment before handing her one. There was no turning back now. The attack came before dawn. Gunfire shattered the quiet, flames licking at the barn, horses screaming as panic tore through them. Eli fought like a man already dead, moving through smoke and chaos with grim purpose. But numbers have their own cruelty. A bullet found him near the ribs, dropping him hard into the dirt. A pony dragged him toward cover, her small frame burning with desperate strength. Nita stood alone in the open, rifle steady, heart pounding like a war drum. She did not fire wildly. Each shot was deliberate, fueled by exile, by grief, by a life that refused to be taken again. The attackers faltered not because they feared Eli, but because they did not expect the widows to stand. When the sun finally rose, it revealed a battlefield of ash and silence. The riders were gone, leaving blood in the dust and a warning carried back on trembling tongues. Eli lived, barely, fever gripping him as days blurred together. A pony nursed him with relentless care, while Nita kept watch, daring anyone to return. And something shifted in the land. News spread faster than fear that two women cast out by their own people had defended a ranch against warriors and guns alike. Bet a cowboy had stood beside them and lived. The tribe would never welcome them back, but it no longer hunted them either. Exile had become legend. When Eli finally stood again, leaning on the porch rail as the sun dipped low, the three of them understood what they had built was fragile but real. Not a tribe, not a town, but a chosen family carved from defiance. The Wild West tried to bury them, and failed. And as long as stories like this still burn in the dust, they deserve to be told. If this chapter kept you listening until the last word, make sure you subscribe to the channel because more untold legends of survival, sacrifice, and frontier justice are waiting just beyond the horizon.